Okay, we're gonna call the city council special workshop to order Monday, September 12th, 6 p.m. Roll call. Kirby Moynihan.
Sam Fullers.
Nicole Andreoff.
David Paradise.
Kevin Triplett.
Jessica Bonnewa.
Tom Morswood.
Michael Sommerfeld.
Dan Reamer.
2023 proposed budget and levy discussion.
Mayor and council, in your packets, you'll find the revenue and expenditure budget worksheets. Mayor Moynihan and Councilmember Marzlak joined city staff last week with going through the line-by-line items and updating the expenditure worksheet. I've also updated the revenues with some increases. So we could go look through or address anything that you'd like to talk about, anything going raising or lowering on the line items. But the most notable thing in your packets today will be that our tax capacity estimate for 2023 has gone up by a little over $800,000. So that's nearly a 28% increase, which, given that this year we can no longer assess for fire service and we have to use the levy towards it, it couldn't come at a better time, because with this net tax capacity we'll be able to take on the optics of that switch, even though residents won't be assessed for those fire services, so there shouldn't be a actual change in what they're paying for fire service. It's going to be an easier pill to swallow when their taxes are going down on a whole. So, couldn't have been luckier for this year. Just let me know if there's any questions about line items or any discussion there. Just as a summary, certain things that we increased were utilities for all city operations. Electricity and gas are up considerably, so we padded those areas in the event that they continue to rise. We're also looking at budgeting for additional vehicle in the coming year for public works. And if no questions, then we can go on to the proposed rates and kind of breakdown of where things could be allocated.
I'll just speak on my two things. So we increased the wages and salaries on emergency management from $1,800 to $5,000. That's just kind of in retrospect of COVID-19 and realizing what a pain in the butt emergency management can be. And then I increased our wages and salary by $5,000. We'll probably start seeing that go up slowly every year from here on out, just for recruitment and retention issues mainly. So those are kind of my two big issues. And then obviously electric and gas and stuff like Mike already mentioned.
Another big shift that came about from our budget talks the other day is not set in stone. That's part of the proposal in the following three, but we had considered pulling regional park additions, or what we would.
Are you kidding me?
We need budget increases on electricity and gas.
I want to check your camera.
It should have a battery backup for that long of a outage.
Wait for the call for someone from
It's going.
Transformer.
Yep, that'll happen.
As you were saying, Michael.
So we had considered, in the event that we needed to cut the budget, given the increases we're gonna have for optics is what, at least for fire department levy, we considered dropping or lowering the regional park LGA funds and putting more of that into the park and recreation budget for renovating or replacing buildings as comes up, or at least building a budget for that, as well as some, again, we spoke about vehicle costs going into expanding those. So if we're on to the proposal, the first budget, which is those things that we considered, calls for an 11.5% increase. I guess one more thing to say is that even with this first budget proposal, the lowest budget proposal that we have, before adding in the fire department funds, so just comparing what would have been apples to apples 2023 to 2023, we would have been short. So we were actually a lower budget this year with those changes that we had made. So apart from adding in the fire department, we would have been lowering our levy. So with everything considered, it would be 11.5% increase, but that's compared to our nearly 28% increase in the estimated tax capacity. So that went up by over $800,000. So if we went with the budget that is the first budget we look in here, you can see in blue and red on the bottom. The blue shows what we would be increasing. There's many small increases, but these were kind of the points that Mayor Moyna wanted in the few proposals. Was one that showed if we did increase the park buildings and vehicles and lowered our regional park, and that would also drop our capital improvement, we would go from that 51.69 that we had in 2022 to a 45.07% tax rate for the city. That is a 5% budget increase. So if you, then next one, do not remove funds from the regional park, so keep that at LGA going in at $150,000. But keeping the park buildings, vehicles, remaining the same with regional, and just shorting our, what we would normally put into capital improvement, we would be at a 48.86%, which is a 9% increase in the overall levy. And then the final proposed levy certification on the last page is not decreasing any of those things, maintaining that additional in our capital improvement and the additional for park buildings, keeping the regional park funded as it is. And that would still bring us under the current tax rate of 51.69 to a 51.57. This is just an estimate for the net tax capacity. Last year, from the estimate to the final, it did go up slightly. So I don't know what that trend is. I only have the 1 year to go off of. There's all the years of tax capacity that you can see, but from the estimate to the final, I don't know if that's always a little higher when it comes in the final figure.
So this may be the year I want to play a little catch up with some of the funding. And not hurt the taxpayer.
I hate to cut the funding away from something we've been planning for a while, but at the same time, we have to increase our energy costs by double. I mean, I saw it at home last year where you know, our gas and electric bill was 2.5 times what it was the year prior for less usage. What is everybody else gonna do at home if they?
You're referring to the regional park aspect, correct?
Just any of the cutting of funding that we want it, we've been planning for it for a while, it's in the city's future plans, but at the same time, not only do we have to worry about what we're taxing the people in town, we have to worry about can they afford to stay in their homes with the increase in the cost that we're having passed down from the state level or the county level or the school board or the energy companies.
Well, like I said, it's this year, the tax capacity allows us some room to maneuver in there, so. And I think it's a good year for us to catch up a little bit. I mean, you know, looking at these numbers, I mean, they're not gonna change a whole bunch. You look at the 2022 tax amounts.
Which one would you be looking at as a recommendation coming from this city hall staff?
Go ahead.
I guess again, similar to what I am hearing from Councilmember Marzlak, you know, we were more than lucky this year to have that tax capacity go up so that if we need to make these bigger shifts, we have that capacity. I don't necessarily, you know, even if residents see that their taxes went down by a couple dollars for that, the amount attributed to the city, they still not like to see that our budget is going up by 12% on the high end. Because regardless of whether or not the nominal value of these taxes from what their property would be valued, you know, if we're considering that $200,000 property and that one, even at our highest rate, going down a couple dollars, that's after the county taxes likely already went up. So that's already post impact from the county. So it's not like they're really looking at a savings there. But the one place there is going to be savings is that every single parcel, $150 isn't on fire service. And that's already included in these cuts. So no matter what, they're going to get lower taxes, no matter which of these plans we went with. And they're also saving that $150. Because I don't have a one that I would necessarily pick, but I think if I were you, I'd feel just as comfortable going with that, what is the high end of these proposals, because it's still a rate cut and an assessment cut. But there's more cuts to tout in those other proposals as well. It's more about priorities, I suppose, what we want to.
What did we decrease in the middle one?
So the middle one in blue, you see there, so that one, we would still be cutting out what was the additional $100,000 that we put into capital improvement last year. So building that padding. That is putting back in, so on the first proposal, the lowest proposal, we had taken the $150,000 that would normally go into the regional, well, not normally, just the last year or two have gone into the regional park, and brought that down to $10,000 to handle any more testing or any more final things going on in there, until the decision is made. So that second proposal is putting 140 back into that, so 140 additional is the only change in that second proposal. That's keeping another 140.
Are you talking about section B, where it says 2023, where it says 110,000 under parks?
No,
No, it's hidden somewhere else.
no, it's within parks. It's going
It's just
from,
within the park.
it's going from 287, 475 to
427. Gotcha, yep, all right.
And again, these aren't set in stone, so if you're more interested in keeping that funding going into capital improvement, but you still wanted to draw down on the regional park in lieu of the other parks, which are included in all of these, the additional funding for the regular park and rec parks fund. But if you, I mean, we could easily do that swap between those two. It's not set in stone. These are just based on those parameters that you had mentioned after our meeting, and then I threw in that last one just because that was, the yields were so high with the tax
And
capacity.
remember, we can always reduce the levy, but the file cannot raise it, so.
And again, being that this is a workshop tonight, we're not looking for a decision, I mean, that's
This is for you guys to kind of,
mull
for
over.
the next week, yeah.
And I'll say from kind of an outsider's perspective, to a degree, this was the first time where I kind of had to be involved in the budget talks because we're part of the levy. And it was line by line. Nobody was being greedy and saying, well, I need 100,000 more here, I need 1 million more here. And we didn't even,
Except for Dan.
yeah, they were like, money. We didn't even know what the,
I'm just playing catch up.
we didn't even know what Michael never even told us what the increase was gonna be, so we didn't know what we had to work with. We knew we were kind of getting screwed by the fire department and the assessment thing a little bit, and that was a big concern of ours, again, for the optics. Yeah, for it to come at a better time would not have.
Yeah, when we left that meeting and everything, that little up arrow next to almost
You're
every
just like, oh my
account, I was
gosh.
dreading it a little bit until I got that.
So from an outside perspective, staff and the council members that were involved, it was, very diligent, and we spent a lot of time going through every little thing and making, as nominal increases as we felt we could to safely get us through the next 12 months, basically. So I was very impressed with how that went from somebody who's never been involved in this side of the budget. My budget was always done totally different, so.
Do we have any questions for Michael right now? If not, there is a week time frame where you can get a hold of him and ask questions, and even next Monday's meeting as well, where we can talk about it again.
Or again, if you want to flip any numbers or add or subtract and shoot it out to everyone involved again.
I think the way I kind of look at it now is, we've got a lot of stuff that's going to be coming due here soon, whether it be wastewater, water treatment, probably some more infrastructure stuff too.
More roads, yeah.
Yep, I think anything that we can kind of deflect that way would be a good look, I think. All the stuff we need to catch up on as far as that goes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but when we were in those line item talks, we did increase budgeting for street repairs. And
Yeah.
again, more money, you'd spend it, however much we can find, you'll find a place to put it. but-
Yeah, I'll fix roads with your money. The more money you give me, the nicer they're gonna look. As like anything else, most road repair involves oil. Gas and oil are skyrocketed, so I could shoot through that budget fast.
Any other questions? Comments or concerns?
I may jot down a few things and call you, but otherwise,
Thank you for putting this together. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good job.
Stressful first time.
Yeah.
she did a great job. That's really good.
Well, if there's no other comments or questions, then we're adjourned.
On to the next one. Good job.
Oh, yeah. Sam drove by my house, and I was in my garage getting ready to leave. Well, he drove past my driveway, and then I saw him like at the corner of my eyes, and he backed up, and I'm like, what's going on? So someone's going to put a piece of garbage in your yard. I'm like, what? Like, I'll tell Sam as soon as I see him.